Hey Otters, today for math we are going to continue working with volume. Instead of counting cubes though, today we're going to work with a formula to help us figure out the volume of rectangular prisms. So let's get started. Now, as I said before, instead of using the counting cubes method, we're going to be using a formula. The reason that this is important is because in the real world, you're going to see a lot of rectangular prisms out there, such as these ones. We've got a shipping box, Kleenex box, toothpaste, a fish tank, a cereal box, none of which have these nice little cubes that you could count to see how much they would hold on the inside. So instead of being able to count, we have to find another way to figure out how much each of these different prisms would hold. So to do that, what is the formula? The mathematical formula for volume is length times width times height. The short version of that is just writing V, so volume, equals L for length times W for width times H for height. All right, now let's take a look at what this will look like. Here's our first problem. Here we do have the cube still, but we're just going to use this to kind of demonstrate how this formula works. So when we're talking about length, we're looking at the longer side of your prism. So it would either be 4 or 3. And we're not looking at this one yet because this would be the height. So this is the longer side, so this would be considered the length. So I'll write in 4, and they already have centimeters written here for me. So my length is 4. Then the width is this distance going back, which is 3. And the height is always how tall your prism is. And here it's 5. So I'll write 5 in here. And so to solve this volume problem, we would do 4 times 3 times 5, which is length times width times height, and that comes out to 60 centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. All right, on the next problem, again, remember length is the longer of the two sides, which I see I've got a side here and a side here. 6 centimeters is the longer, so that would be considered the length. So I'd write in 6 centimeters times the width would be this distance here, which is 3. And then my height again is always how tall my prism is, which is 4 centimeters. So when I write that down, the formula becomes 6 times 3 times 4, which equals 72 centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. Don't forget that label. Let's look at number 3 here. The length again, remember we're looking at the two sides. This time the length happens to be over here because the longer of the two sides is 5. So we've got 5 meters times the width would be right here, which is 4 meters, times the height, which is this distance right here, which would be 10. Now, even though we are writing these in this order, length times width times height, remember when you're multiplying, it doesn't actually matter which order you multiply them because you'll always get the same answer. This is just the order that we're going to write them. Length being the longer side, width being the shorter side, and height being how tall it is. So in this case, length times width times height is 5 times 4 times 10, which equals 200 meters cubed, or cubic meters. On this next one, why don't you pause the video here and just write down in your notebook, what do you think the length is, the width, and the height? All right, hopefully that did not give you too many problems here. If we're looking for length, we're looking for the longer side, which would be 6, times the width, which is the shorter side, which is 3, and the height, which is how tall it is 6. So 6 times 3 times 6, which is length times width times height, equals 108 inches cubed or cubic inches. So now we're going to start looking at these where they don't have those cubic unit cubes in there. Now we're just looking at a box like we might see in the real world. In this case, it is a picture of a gift box. We're going to do the same thing. Length times width times height. Now you'll notice here the length and the width, both of these sides are the same, so it doesn't matter which one we write first. So we're going to do length times width. Our height is how tall it is 4. And now we multiply. And again, it doesn't matter the order that you multiply. Whatever is easiest for you is fine. So 5 times 5. And actually, I'm going to write in the units here. This is inches. So now we've got 5 times 5 is 25, times 4 is 100. So I've got 100 inches cubed. And they actually already have the little cube symbol over here, but I'll write it up here like that. All right. There are 3 more problems. I'm going to have you pause on each of these, solve them on your own, and then check your work with me. All right, let's see how you did. For length, we're looking at the 2 sides. That would be 3 in this case. So 3 feet times the width would be 2 feet times the height would be 1 foot. So length times width times height, 3 times 2 times 1 is 6 feet cubed or cubic feet. And again, I know they've got that 3 there, but I'm just going to write it up here so it's easier to see. All right, try this next one now. We've got a brick wall. How much space is this taking up? Pause your video, try it on your own, and then come back to check your answer. All right, here for the sides, we have a side of 1 foot and 12 feet. So obviously our length here will be 12 feet. Our width is 1 foot. And our height, it is 6 feet tall. So we have 12 times 1 times 6. So 12 times 1 is 12, and 12 times 6 would be 72 cubic feet, or feet cubed. All right. Let's try one more problem here before I apply my learning problems. Here we have a medicine box. Pause this problem, try it on your own, and then come back to double check your answer. All right, here we go. So length in this case, here's our 2 sides. The length in this case would be 9 centimeters. The width would be 2 centimeters. And our height would be 4 centimeters. So if we do this here, I'm actually going to, instead of doing 9 times 2 first, I'm actually going to do the 2 times 4 first, which is 8. And then 8 times 9 is 72. So I would get 72 centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. All right, Otters, I hope you did well on those problems. It's not too hard to figure out the volume of a rectangular prism as long as you know the length and the width and the height. You just multiply those 3 numbers together. And then don't forget about your units over here. You use whatever unit you're using, centimeters, feet, inches, and then make sure it's cubed because we're looking at how many cubes would fit inside of this box. So here are your 5 Apply My Learning problems. At this point, you could pause the video and take a screenshot, or you could pause the video and write these problems down. Then you could work on the problems in your notebook and upload a picture, or I have taken a screenshot of this already and put that picture into Canvas. So you're welcome to download that into your photos if you would like, and then use the markup tools to just write on the photo and submit that as well. Whatever is easiest for you is okay with me. And just let me know if you have any problems with that or if you need any help.